So I've never been to one of your talks before. I've always come in and I've just seen you guys talking as I like go back to the Muhammad Ali room back there. That's like my office / like tuck Jake in the back corner of the. It's cool. It's the best workout office ever. So Mona said I'm going to talk about dirt today. Is that right? But it's compost. So I kind of do a couple of things. I do yoga, martial arts, fitness, golf, and I garden. That's all I got.
No, you gong or bong or whatever.
A bong? Oh yeah. When I'm apparently when I'm on the A&E network, I have gongs, not bongs, but gongs. Did you guys see that Shipping Wars show? That's so fake. Oh my god.
I'll yammer
Yeah, yammer it. It's pretty funny. Anyway, so what I did about 3 years ago is I got really into gardening because I was a vegan vegetarian who wanted to eat just plants, even though I wasn't raised that way, and I love eating meat, but I don't anymore. And so I thought I want to grow my own food because it'd be even healthier and more local and better for the planet and more better for water conservation, things like that. So when I bought a house with my wife Pam, and we have like 1,000 gallons, like turbines of composters that we like roll all of our food scraps and extra stuff in. Do you guys compost at home right now?
My dog.
You compost? So what do you do for your compost? Like when you are in your kitchen, where does it go?
Into a bucket.
Into a bucket?
Yeah.
Outside?
Well, yeah, and then that's where I store it until I dump everything out on the weekend into the compost.
Into where?
Compost bin.
You have an actual bin?
Yeah.
Where did you get it?
Gilbert.
In Gilbert?
The city of Gilbert.
Oh yeah, that's right. So most of you, if you live in Phoenix or like Tempe, Gilbert, they give you a free one. They'll like bring you like it's like an old recycling garbage can, right?
Mine was like a nice one. It was like
Oh,
really,
wow.
really nice one.
Mine is like an old recycling bin when they poked a bunch of holes in it, and so I threw that away because I didn't like it. It really sucked. Because you got to be able to kind of like, when you make a compost pile, it's like making a lasagna. So I want to encourage you guys to do a compost because of a few things. So like one, if you guys like ate pizza like this and just throw it away, all the crusts and the boxes and stuff like that, 25% of the trash that goes to the landfill could have been composted. But once food scraps and yard clippings and compostable things like toilet paper rolls and paper towels and stuff, once they go to the landfill, they don't compost because they trap all the oxygen and it can't get oxygenated and stuff. So it becomes like it's a high producer of methane gas, and it's like really bad for the air supply and stuff like that. So if we had a way as a civilization to like trap that methane and use it as fuel, that'd be cool, but we don't do that because I don't know. So I think it's cool when you compost, you get like 1/4 of the trash that would have gone to the landfill now will go into like good soil for your landscape. Okay, so how many people are in an apartment? How many are in like a townhome? And how many are in like a house? Okay, so everybody can compost. But let me pass some of these down. So like, don't eat this stuff. This is not for eating. It's just a bunch of dirt. So if you guys can like see here, I'll go out right here. Can you hear me okay, Shane? Yeah. So I just brought like 8 different samples of stuff. If you're gonna be like in your kitchen and you're gonna be eating food and then you're cutting up onions or you're cutting up whatever and you have all this scraps, how many of you guys just throw it in the trash? Like if you peel potatoes or banana peels or paper towels, like just in the trash. Seriously, yeah, okay. That's normal. You guys are normal, right? I'm like crazy person. So you can have a bucket like Chris does, and I have like a little cool little like silver flower pot from IKEA. It was like $7, and it's like a cool little like a vase. And I just put all my clippings in it, and once it fills up, I take it out to my bucket, and then once the bucket fills up, I take it out to my composter. Now, if you are doing compost, anything will compost. So if you take like a bunch of banana peels, or you take all those pizza boxes, or you take a bunch of rice that's old, and just put it in a pile and put it in the corner of your patio or whatever, in like a year, it won't be rice anymore. It'll be broken down crap. Just, like, it'll look like dog crap in the corner of your house. Yeah. And if you keep putting organic, nitrogen heavy foods on that pile, like banana peels, and then cantaloupe rind, and then some bones, and then you put like more, it's just gonna be a big pile of fly-ridden, nasty crap. It will literally be shit, like in the corner of your house. So you have to add about a 50-50 mix of carbon source stuff and nitrogen source stuff. So let me throw out some stuff. Grass, do you think it's nitrogen-based, like heavy nitrogen or heavy carbon? Nitrogen, because it's green. Usually anything green is nitrogen, anything brown is carbon. So like a bag of leaves.
What if it's dead grass?
Still nitrogen, yeah. But that was a good question, Yeah. But typically, I'm not a scientist, and I don't go out there with like a pH stick and say, oh, my pH is just, like I just look at it, if it looks good, and then I can just feel the plants will like it, I like it. So I just meditate into my inner plant. So what about like a bag of leaves? Like if your neighbors have a bag of leaves, carbon, nitrogen? Carbon, because it's a brown. How about a bunch of like yard clippings off of like a bunch of bushes that are like, usually that's carbon too. So normally if you have like anything food that you're eating or grass is nitrogen, and anything that you cut off your yard or that died off a tree is carbon. That's dead, yeah. So like wood chips, if you took like a tree through a wood chipper like in Fargo and just chopped it all up, you could totally use that as carbon, right? If you had like a fruit salad and you have all the skins from the food, that's nitrogen. And so you gotta kind of have a 50-50 mix. So which is why when you guys, who was on the Have a Soup Eye hike with us? And did you see the composting toilets that were out there on the Indian reservation? And where did you have to throw in there? The pine shaving stuff. That's the carbon, because without that, it would have smelled horrible in there. Don't compost your own feces, because they had a special toilet for that, right? But anything organic that you're eating. So if you put 2 pounds of food inside of your little pail on your counter, put 2 pounds of pine shavings or leaves or wood chips to balance it out. Yeah, everybody have cats? You ever buy those like pine pellet litter for the cats? You can use that as your carbon source. It's a really cheap and easy carbon source. If you go like to a northern climate, like even Payson, I go to Payson once a year and just go to a Home Depot there, and they have like 40-pound bags of pine pellets for wood-burning stoves. I just buy them for $5 a piece and use that as my carbon source. Really cheap, easy stuff. Okay? So I have my bucket on my counter. I throw my food scraps in there. It's just habit now. I put the carbon source in there, take it out to my tumblers, and roll it. The first year I did it, my wife hated me because it smelled so bad and had so many bugs in it, and it was so much fly. It was slimy and gross and disgusting. But the more carbon I put in there, it doesn't smell like anything, and it's hot. It's like 100 degrees. So when we take like our heat laser inside the composter, it should be like 105 degrees Fahrenheit all the time, because it's cooking. So in the wintertime, it'll actually steam up. It's pretty cool. You guys seem riveted right now. So pass these around. Let me show you what I do to my compost. Just grab a pot and pass it back. So I clogged at the bottom so it won't leak, but watch out for it leaking on your clothes. But they should be clogged up. So the one that Amy's passing back, that's a compost that I bought from Lowe's. And that one is, I think, like just a garden soil. So if you guys are gardening with your compost, see how that one that Chris has got there that Whitney's gonna have, that Hamid's got, it's like kind of got some bark and wood chips in it, right? The one that, or Jeff, let me have that. Don't pass that one back yet. The wood chips that Jeff's got now, I get for free from tree companies, and I add that to my compost. So that's an example of what you can add. What do you got there? Let me see. Yeah, so when you pass this one around, what do you guys think of that one? Let me hold that one too. So the one that Jeff's got now, that is an example of what I don't want you guys to ever put or ever buy. Yeah, I had to buy it today just to show you guys what not to buy. So I'm from British Columbia. I was born in British Columbia, and the one that Chris has got is just peat moss. You guys know what peat moss is? What's peat moss? Yeah, and you usually put that in your soil to help with water retention and to help oxygenate the soil, and the roots of plants grow in it really easily. It's bad for the planet because it's not renewable. Once it's gone, it's gone. It's a non-renewable resource. that we'd rather you use coconut coir. So this one is just like peat moss, but it's ground up coconut husks. And coconut coir I buy from a website called eBay. You guys heard of that? And they ship it right to your house. And if you have Amazon Prime, it's 2 days, no shipping fee. It's really cool. Like a 12-pound block is like 15 bucks. So I want to encourage you guys today to do this. Be in your kitchen, making your food. Have your little bucket, your little like artistic looking container on your counter. Take your food scraps, put it in that container, and then once it's full up, put it outside into a pile, like Chris said. So when I first did my first compost pile, I literally got a bunch of pallets, like pallets you would ship on, and I made a little box of pallets, and I just threw all my stuff in this, and I made a pile of crap like this big. It really looks like that. So it's just a big steaming pile of soil this tall. And I had to like pitchfork and flip it like once a week. It was like really labor intensive. So I found these tumblers on Craigslist for 50 bucks. They're almost 300 gallons a piece, and they're much easier. Just crank the handle. So you could just have a big pile and create a soil lasagna, like dirt, banana peels, pizza boxes, wood chips, more dirt, things like that, and just layer it. And you'll be amazed. You just water that thing, and it will start steaming. It'll be hot. You can't even put your hand in it. It'll be so hot. Did you guys have questions?
What is it about peat moss that's not renewable? What is it? Why is it not renewable?
It's like a layer of soil that the earth doesn't put back very quickly. So by not renewable, I mean, I'm sure in like a million years it would come back.
Okay.
But in our lifetimes it won't come back because once it's stripped off the land, it's gone.
Okay.
It's like corks. A lot of times you're seeing synthetic corks now because corks are getting harder to come by. So the same thing. So coconuts produce coconuts like gangbusters. What's that?
That's why they're twist off now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We just did a wine. I was just in Sonoma last weekend in San Francisco. We did a couple wine tours in Sonoma Valley, and they were saying that the synthetic corks are actually to help. They actually give you a more consistent tasting wine because they don't let oxygen out. Corks, real corks, are very unpredictable how the oxygen. That's a different talk. Yes.
Can you speak to what is not good to put in your compost pile?
Yeah. So what can you let's talk about that. What can you compost? Paper towels. Anything around the house like toilet paper rolls, paper towel rolls, pizza boxes, cardboard type stuff. Paper, oh my gosh, so good. Like it would be better if you shredded it first. So if you guys had like a bunch of paper shreddings here, it's better not to have any paper waste at all, but if you had it, throw it in the compost.
So cardboard that has like printed ink on it?
That's fine. So like people that get concerned with like bleaches in the paper towels or ink in the stuff don't usually compost because like it doesn't really matter. Once it starts cooking, it's all cooked out. I'd rather have my own compost that was from bleached paper and from inked newspapers than buy a compost that they made from human waste at some plant that was like very sketchy.
So you're better off if you had recycling and composting. Are you better off recycling certain things than composting?
Yeah, it's better to like not recycle. Recycle is like the worst thing you can do and think that you're actually doing something good. It's better to not use it at all. So better to reduce, right? And then better to reuse, and then better to compost, and then better to compost, and then compost and compost. So what I do is I compost everything I have, like everything except for plastic. I mean, if it is if it's something that will break down, it's going in my compost thing, and it's amazing what can go in there. I wouldn't put animal feces in your compost. I wouldn't empty your cat boxes into your compost. I probably wouldn't do that. Although you probably have a lot of that. Yeah, Ariel.
How about we say no feces?
But I do use the feces of my chickens and my rabbits. That's really good for compost. Ariel.
So I don't have a garden at my house because I live in an apartment that has a tiny yard. So what else can you do with compost if you're not gardening, or is there a way to
Yeah.
have really small scale?
So if you don't want to garden at all, you're just doing compost to help the earth. So keep it out of the landfill. That'd be like your motivation.
What do you do when it fills up? Like, how do you get rid of it?
You're going to contact me. I have a cell phone. It's 480-296-3107. And I'll come get it from you.
Everyone's compost.
I do. I actually work with Box Greens. It's just like your guys' Chow Locally, but they're in Tempe. And they give me at least 10 boxes of produce a week that I put in my compost. Because literally, I'll put 10 boxes of produce. And then in 1 week, it's cooked down to almost nothing. It's really incredible. So I can always use more compost. You can put it on landscape plants. So The other benefit of compost, if we have like, when we grow agriculture like we do right now, and we have these corn fields and soy fields and things like that, most of these agricultural plants is for consumption, for animal consumption. So most of the food in the world is grown to feed livestock to then feed us. So when they grow corn all the time on land with fertilizers, it rapes the earth of nutrients. So then the land underneath the corn has no more nutrients in it. You follow me? Because the fertilizers make the plant grow incredibly well. So the plant needs a lot of stuff in the ground to grow that well. And so then once the plant is done growing, they take all that corn and they just take it off the land and grow the next crop. Where nature would have left that corn there, let it break down, and feed the next crop years later. So if you go like hiking, like I just did I went in the redwood forest and did about a 5-mile hike in the redwoods last weekend. And the ground is not full of chicken manure and cow manure and bull and steer manure. Like everyone throws this manure in their gardens. How many of you have bought like a bag of manure for your garden or something? Totally. The earth doesn't do it that way. You know, it's leaves and pine needles and broken down organic matter that then gives the best soil back to the earth. So you would put it on landscape plants after it's broken down. You can give it to your parents, friends, and put it on their landscape plants. A lot of my friends just take their food scraps and put it in a bush behind where you can't see it, and that's their compost method. I don't. Yeah, that method would attract bugs. So other things is, if you mix compost in with your landscape, let's say you have like just like normal trees and bushes, deserty stuff, mix it into the ground, you'll have less water runoff. And so most of the land on the planet now is being so depleted of nutrients that when we actually do water or when rain hits it, it just runs off into our waterways, and then all the fertilizers that were in that field runs into our drinking water. If there was even 5% more compost in that land, then it would be able to hold moisture 4 times as much. So the rain would hit and the land would absorb the water and there'd be no runoff. So as cities, I really think that when I get to become the governor of Arizona, I'm going to make it so that there should be an outer perimeter of our city that is literally just composting everything that we cut down and have, so that we can then have our own compost soil mixed back into the land. But as we do it now, we use it for landfills, for housing developments, and it just produces methane and stuff.
Jake,
Yeah.
I understand we're going to start doing composting here based on what...
Are you okay with that? Are you okay with that?
I'm still waiting to hear like how we're going to do that. Like,
So if we had compost buckets here, let's just say these buckets used to be over there. And let's just say somebody at AxoTalks put an apple core in there. That's very sad. Looks like a very sad compost. This apple core will be like, if this went in my composters, in 2 days, it'd be gone. It'd be just eaten up by the heat. And so if you put, like, let's say you guys had a bunch of pizza, and you filled this thing up half with pizza, and then left it at AxoTalks. In 3 days, you guys would hate composting because it would be flies and smell and disgusting. But if you took, like, where's the pot of shavings? Yeah. If you took like pine shavings and sprinkled the shavings on top and made a lasagna, then more food, then more shavings, then more food, no smell, no bugs, it would just cook and become natural.
Which we happen to have a big bag of pine shavings.
You do, because I brought it here, yeah, exactly. So if I was at home and I was doing my own pail, I always line the bottom of the bucket before any food's in there with the shavings, so that it doesn't stick to the bucket. And that's a good start. The carbon is the best source for the upcoming cooking of the compost.
So every time someone puts food in there, you just make sure to put a little layer of sawdust on top of it.
That's it.
And the minute we look like we're getting full, you'll come and grab it and replace it with our other bucket.
Yeah, that's me the key too.
It won't smell.
It won't smell. Plus, you guys have these really cool, lids.
They're twisty, so you don't even
Yeah.
have to unflip the side. You just turn the little top and it'll pop off.
So I have some gardening friends that say don't compost, because they say there's no way that as one person you can actually generate enough dirt with compost to actually do anything good. But I say if we all do it together, then we can, right? It's like a huge company. Look how many people are in here. Yeah.
So is it clear that we are starting composting here, or Jake's gonna take it away? Did everyone get that far?
Did I don't know. Now, like one thing I don't know, like you could compost all these paper towels, But I don't know if we go as far as like going to the bathrooms and getting the paper towels out. And, like, I don't think so. But if you're like in the kitchen, you like eat. You guys always have amazing produce. You have like a banana peel or an apple core or a leftover piece of pizza. Throw it in there. Sprinkle some wood chips on top.
So the only thing we don't put in there is plastic, and everything else can go in there.
No metal, no plastic.
Is it like processed foods too? Like if you have like, I don't know, like.
Did anybody see the movie Super Size Me?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Remember the experiment at the end in the glass jars where they put the McDonald's quarter pounder and it never changed. After like 3 months, it was the same looking French fries and the same looking quarter. But the burger from the street looked like a moldy, disgusting mess. If you throw the McDonald's hamburger in compost, it will all work together. Now, the reason why it gets hot, why does it get hot? Chemical reactions caused by what usually? By the bacteria. There's a bunch of microbes in there that are like eating all that matter, and then they're like causing this chemical reaction to happen. Same thing as if you had like worms. Worms eat their own body weight in food a day. I do vermiculture and worm bins at my house too. So I have like, it looks like a Chinese pergola, like a Chinese pagoda of towers, and each one has a tray of worms in it. And they literally just put off heat because it's so much microbial life in there. It's pretty cool. So when you're putting compost into the ground with just landscape plants, if you like have trees or bushes that you're not even going to eat, it's beneficial to put compost, just sprinkle compost on the top, and eventually the earth will absorb that in. And the tree's roots will be able to find pockets of nutrients, water, and oxygen better because the compost, it lightens up and brings oxygen to the native clay. It's pretty cool. So like you'll see a lot of golf courses nowadays using a lot of compost because it makes the fairways greener. That's it. Oh, the last thing was this. So I go a little further. This is the coolest thing that I brought here, and it's like really awesome. It's azomite. Azomite is A to Z of minerals and trace elements. It's a bunch of minerals and rock dust that they put with like molasses in a granular form. You can pass it around and smell it. It's 70 different minerals that you put back into your compost. So most of the time plants, so here's my last thing, I'll finish on this. When you guys eat produce nowadays, who did the talk on bananas? I'm totally with that. That's awesome. It's totally true. Everything he said is like true about bananas. Yeah. Because the bananas you eat today are nowhere near as nutritious as the bananas that your grandparents ate. Because the conditions they're being grown in is so much worse. The soils are depleted, there's tons of fertilizers, they're being shipped across the world, not just that, but the political ramifications of bananas and things like that.
There's actually someone that I kind of know, he recently published a really interesting paper. They did a meta-analysis and
of
how
food?
increasing carbon is decreasing the nutrients in our food.
Totally. So if you eat like spinaches today, they're less nutrient dense than spinaches 100 years ago because of the depletion of minerals in the soil. So when you put things like that azomite that's being passed around, it smells like rock mineral, weird smell. When you put that in your compost or in your soil or in your dirt or in your garden, it puts the minerals back into the plants. The microbes eat those minerals. The plants absorb that beneficial stuff that's created by the microbes. And your peppers and your plants, your trees, your food is 10 times more nutritious than even organic can be.
Jake,
So,
couple of questions for you before we wrap up. It seems like everything is compostable. Why shouldn't we just use all of the trash bags or trash cans as compost?
No plastic, no.
the plastic trash bag, and you can't be sure what's being thrown in there. Like if is there bones or meat scraps or
Well, meat scraps are not compost.
I would say meat scraps. I wouldn't put like a leftover steak bone in your compost.
Okay.
You could compost it. It will compost.
But we need to be able to cover it is the thing.
Right.
Have a seal.
But he's saying, why not just take the trash out and take the trash into my compost?
Oh.
Because you just can't be sure what else is in there besides compostable items.
So can you once again tell us what not to put in there? So no meat.
I would say no meat. I would say no bones.
Okay.
Even though meat and bones will compost. If you guys died and I put you in my compost tumbler, you would compost. I mean,
That's a curable body.
Well, now you know why you should have him on your speed dial. In case of emergency.
like I have seriously thought about.
Call Saul and Jake.
But it's not preferable. So I would say meat type things, bone type things, plastic things, metal things, anything man-made, probably. If nature made it, compost it. If man or woman made it, don't compost it. Any other questions about what we cannot compost? Give me an example. What are you like thinking maybe that could compost? Eggshells, great for compost. Those are great for compost because they're so high in calcium and minerals.
Think of stuff that we use in the office, like the
Coffee grounds.
Coffee grounds.
Perfect.
Good,
Unbelievable.
But like the coffee cups, that, like we use these, they're plastic.
But what about the coffee filter, like a paper filter?
We don't use the paper filters.
Use the little Kruger.
Yeah, those dispensable plastic ones, you can't.
Like, we'd have to open those up.
Yeah,
But like, we would do that. It's just,
it's too much work.
okay. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
James. Appreciate it.
Yeah.